Star Trek Deep Space Nine gifted us with many wondrous phrases. The Cisco is a Bajor, today is a good day to die, but one of the biggest unofficial phrases in the entire series was, O'Brien must suffer. Miles Edward O'Brien is one of the most human everyman characters on the series, and when he feels pain, we feel pain. DS9 gave us plenty of episodes that feature O'Brien suffering horribly. Tribunal, Hard Time, Whispers being notable entries, but my own personal favorite has to be Visionary from Season 3. Though he may not suffer here as much as he does in other episodes, he has no Cardassians ripping his teeth out, hold the Novocaine, he does die for good, and is replaced with a version of himself who existed a few hours ahead in the future. The O'Brien that we came to know and love for 5 seasons of TNG and 2.5 seasons of Deep Space Nine dies forever in this episode. That's some hard time.
What is this?
And you're in for some more hard time, because welcome back to SYFY WIRE's Warp Factor Classic Blend. O'Brien must suffer, and now, so shall you. Engage! Prepare for a mission briefing full of suffering! Suffering yet? This episode first aired in 1995, but if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. All crew to spoiler stations, but because 1995, yellow alert! Chief O'Brien gets a dose of radiation poisoning right as the Romulans visit the station to get info on the Dominion. O'Brien convinces Quark to let him hang a dartboard in the bar right before he hallucinates and sees a vision of himself. After the Romulans show grave concern about the Dominion threat, O'Brien experiences his vision from the other side. Dax has detected a temporal disturbance, and it is deduced that O'Brien did not really have a vision. He flashed forward in time. Jumped. He jumps forward again, saving himself from being stabbed by some rowdy Klingons and Quarks. Upon examination, Dr. Bashir finds severe damage to O'Brien's nerve cells that are caused by these time jumps, which were themselves caused by the radiation. Must be the radiation. Sisko, Kira, and Odo continue to have issues with the visiting Romulans, who question every one of their motives and actions, even going so far as to bring up Odo's feelings for Kira, which Kira thinks is ridiculous. Like that would ever be a thing. O'Brien gets in the fight that we'd seen previously with the Klingon, but he turns the tables thanks to his future foreknowledge. He jumps into the future again and sees himself die thanks to a malfunctioning energy panel.
Miles?
Suffering enough yet? I bet you are. Bashir can fix the time jumping, but probably not before a couple more jumps happen. The Romulans suspiciously move quarters, and Sisko decides to let this all play out. O'Brien jumps forward again and sees his own corpse lying in the infirmary. Future Bashir then gives past O'Brien some info to give to past Bashir, while Odo investigates the malfunctioning panel, which may be the handiwork of the rowdy Klingons, who are actually intelligence operatives. Bashir manages to save O'Brien's life thanks to the knowledge, and puts him through treatment. During this, O'Brien jumps one more time and sees the station being evacuated before all of Deep Space Nine explodes and the wormhole collapses. Future O'Brien tells past O'Brien that he's got to figure out what happened because he was sleeping. He didn't see anything. Past O'Brien willingly then has his body flooded with radiation so he can do the time warp again, except this time he has a fancy device that will enable a return trip when necessary. He jumps to the future, warns his future self, and then sees that an attack on the station by Romulan warbirds is responsible for the destruction. O'Brien is too sick to make the jump back, so he gives the device to future O'Brien, who goes back in his place. Future O'Brien, now the only O'Brien, beelines for ops and has the station put on red alert. It turns out that the Romulans were so concerned about the Dominion that they planned to collapse the wormhole, having then to destroy the whole station as well to make it look like an accident. Yeah, good job. They would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that time-traveling transporter chief. O'Brien talks with Bashir about the weirdness of now living in his own past and has a bit of fun with Quark.
Double.
Wait!
Double!
SOKATH! His eyes uncovered!
When it comes to Visionary, are there plenty of secrets and references residing within? If Scotty's grandmother had wheels, would she be a wagon?
Aye. And if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
Yes, and yes, I guess. Come, Mr. Scott. Series writer and showrunner Ira Stephen Bear has said that episodes like this one are fun to do with O'Brien because he is, as he says, so human. Bear likes this episode but doesn't love it, citing that it was something they could have done on TNG. Sure, but we see the Enterprise D explode every other episode, like at least 5 or 6 times. This is the only time in all of DS9 that we see the station itself destroyed completely, which was a very costly special effect. Totally worth it. Odo was originally slotted to be the one doing the time jumping in this episode, but they swapped to O'Brien because they'd already done a lot of Odo-centric episodes in Season 3. He features prominently in the 2-part opener, The Search, the events of which are referred to often in this episode, and his true feelings for Kira had also just been revealed in Heart of Stone, something that this episode also references. Ronald D. Moore did a rewrite of this script, and it was his idea to have O'Brien replaced with his own future self. This was an aspect borrowed somewhat from the TNG episode Second Chances, where Riker was almost killed off for good and replaced with his own transporter duplicate. They didn't go that far that time, though. Riker. Moore also added in Bashir's use of hydronolin to treat the radiation sickness. This is a nod to the original series episode The Deadly Years. Though the famous dartboard was first seen in the episode Prophet Motive, this is the first time it's hung up. It would remain a fixture at Quark's for the rest of the series, with O'Brien and Bashir playing many a merry game. Worf, in his first episode, notably throws a dart at the board as if the board had just killed his mother. Though Romulans had appeared on this series before and had even given a cloaking device to Starfleet for use on the Defiant, this is the first time we see the classic D'Deridex warbird design was seen on the show. Colm Meaney was often in scenes with himself here, which presented challenges. Tatiana Maslany had yet to orphan the Black, but Meaney is so damn good that he made it work, despite being the type of actor that, according to the director of this episode, has to go outside and get a little fresh air. It was difficult, but was it more difficult than building a railroad?
Is it a villain you want? I'll play the part.
Talk about a transporter chief, am I right?
Earl Grey never fails.
Earl Grey? And Visionary doesn't fail to bring classic quotes. O'Brien naturally has 2 great ones. He speaks for all of us when he says,
I hate temporal mechanics.
I say that all the time. The exchange of the episode has to go to Odo, however, when he's running down his investigation with Sisko.
I plan to investigate the Klingons, the Bajorans, Quark, the visiting Torellians.
You think Quark had something to do with this?
I always investigate Quark.
What's really the best bromance of this series? Bashir and O'Brien or Odo and Quark? Huh? Jury's out. Nevertheless, Earl Grey never fails. At least it's consistent. Yes, you can bring your own pillow.
Try and get one on the bullseye. No!
Could Miles Edward O'Brien live on to suffer somewhere in the future of Trek? He certainly could. Miles, his wife Keiko, and their family moved back to Earth at the end of DS9, and O'Brien took a teaching post at Starfleet Academy. He could still be there in the time of Star Trek Picard, and who knows, maybe Molly O'Brien has taken up after her father and joined as well. If so, here's hoping that she inherited her father's skill, but not his luck. Speaking of luck and skill... Watch! Nope, not the episode, wrong series. Lots of great Bashir moments, though, not to mention Major Kira, who's always diplomatic. I'm not complaining. Come on. Come on.
Hailing frequencies open.
Our hailing frequencies are now open. Be sure to jump forward and share your thoughts on Visionary, Chief O'Brien, Hell on Wheels, or other quality AMC programming. Also be sure to call out other episodes you'd like to see us cover. Viewers certainly did not hold back with their thoughts on Lower Decks. One viewer writes, excited for LDS. Not looking forward to all the Trek bros taking a dump on it before it even goes to air. Too late, we both must have done a little too much LDS, am I right? Another viewer writes, Ray is a Mary Sue, all in caps. Where do I even begin to address the wrongness of this? Wrong franchise? No, she's not. And just for that, you know what? Take this.
That's a blast shield, it's a blast shield. And it comes down and it goes up. Blast shield.
See what happens, Larry? That's what happens, Larry. That is what happens when you fuck. I want to thank the viewer who specifically requested some love from Miles O'Brien. He's long been one of my favorite characters, and though I hate to see him suffer, I love to watch him bounce back. Who among us hasn't been replaced permanently with a future version of ourselves? I know it's not just me, right? Right? It's just me, isn't it? Okay.